Hey America, I came to you 20 years ago, and it was love at first sight. First, because you are home to millions of talented, driven, and brilliant people. People who could have lived anywhere but chose you because you are still the land of opportunity. Second, because you are not cynical. You still know the difference between good and evil. In many countries, people have surrendered to corruption. They accept injustice, work within broken systems to take what they can, and then, when it becomes unbearable, they flee to you. Because here, justice still matters, human rights still matter, freedom of speech and religion still matter. I chose you. I fought for years to stand on your soil. I came from Russia, where cynicism and brute force rule, but I refuse to live like that. I want to build a country I can be proud of, and I am loyal. If I love something, I love it fully, so long as it stays true to itself. America, let's talk about our future and how we move forward. It looks like you are sick with self-doubt. You criticize yourself relentlessly, haunted by past mistakes, poor decisions, and reckless spending. Some days you sit paralyzed, unable to act. Other days, you lurch from one crisis to another, desperately trying to fix everything at once. You get lost in trivial distractions, procrastinate, or place your trust in charlatans who promise easy solutions with a swipe of their fingers. America, this happens to all of us when we lose sight of who we are, when we are certain if we are doing the right thing. I woke up at 5 a.m. today because I wanted to talk to you. The most urgent thing we need is civility and peace. Right now, we are tearing each other apart over party lines. Stop. Just stop. Ask yourself, what's my goal? Is it simply to defeat the other side? To feel the satisfaction of being right while they are wrong? We share a common goal: to make America a place where we can all live with dignity and security. Do Republicans want to sell America to dictators? No, they don't. Do Democrats want to destroy America? No, they don't. We all have different fears and different priorities. We all want to be heard, so we shout louder, accuse more fiercely, hoping someone will finally stop and listen. But when everyone is shouting, no one is listening. America is exhausted to the point she is vulnerable to anyone who whispers, "Don't worry, baby. I'll take care of everything. Just close your eyes and trust me. I'll tell you when it's safe to open them again." That is how freedom is lost. Instead of focusing on what divides us, we must hold on to what unites us. If we all want America to prosper, then surely we can find common ground. And surely we can do better than that. The highest priority of any political agenda should be securing our future, and that starts with children. To simply maintain our population, we need 210 births per 100 women. Right now, we are just 170. A nation without enough children does not have a future. No children mean no economic growth, no workforce, and no tax base. When we grow old, who will sustain the system? Who will take care of an aging population if there aren't enough young people to support it? If we want women to have more children, two fundamental changes must happen. First, motherhood must be recognized as a role of the highest respect. Right now, that's not the case. A successful woman is portrayed as a business executive in a suit, not as a mother raising multiple children. But we all want to be valued and respected. If society refuses to honor mothers, many women will choose career over family, not because they don't want children, but because they want dignity and recognition. We must either change the narrative, elevating multi-child mothers and supporting them in every way, or we will fade into irrelevance, replaced by those who are wiser about their survival. Second, we must remove the barriers that make raising a large family nearly impossible. Throughout human history, raising children was never the job of just two parents. It was the work of a village. But we no longer live in the villages. The modern world has made parenting increasingly isolating and overwhelming, especially for families with multiple children. We need intelligent policies and social systems that help mothers avoid burnout while ensuring their children have access to quality education, housing, and healthcare. Our schools are failing where it matters most. Children spend years memorizing facts they'll forget the moment they graduate, yet no one teaches them the most important lesson: how to understand themselves. Who are they? What are they good at? Where can they thrive? In a world where strong, capable young people are our greatest asset, every confused, lost child is a tragic loss. Do schools teach students how to build a strong family? How to choose the right profession? How to handle rejection or heartbreak? Where are the classes on basic survival, both physical and emotional? Who is teaching kids how to cope with grief, stress, and failure? These are life skills, yet we leave children to figure them out alone. And what about the flood of misinformation shaping their worldview? Too many kids take their facts from TikTok, never questioning their validity because they don't know how. This is where their sense of good and evil is formed. Once they emotionally invest in an idea, admitting they were wrong becomes nearly impossible. This is how fanatics are created, passionately defending narratives fed to them by professional propagandists. Where is the financial and legal literacy? Why aren't students taught how to find a job, start a business, or protect themselves from financial pitfalls? No one lies awake at night panicking because they never read Shakespeare. Anxiety comes from not knowing how to survive in the real world. We need practical education: how to save money and avoid financial traps, how to access resources that can help young people gain stability faster, how to escape poverty and build a better life. Careers in education should not be determined by skin color, sexual orientation, political views, or ancestral suffering. The only criteria should be knowledge and the ability to teach. If we hire teachers based on anything else, our children will suffer. They will not receive the education they need. The same applies to university leadership. If we select administrators based on ideology instead of ability, students pay the price. The purpose of universities is not to build careers for professors, it's to build futures for students. Universities must also be protected from undue influence. We cannot allow wealthy donors, especially foreign ones, to shape university policies. Campuses should be places of learning, not battlegrounds for political activism. Demonstrations that disturb the educational process should be banned. If students want to protest, they can do so elsewhere. Every student, regardless of political beliefs, should feel safe on campus. Prestigious universities are in desperate need of reform. The people shaping our political and business landscape overwhelmingly come from these institutions, yet they often seem disconnected from reality. Why? Because elite universities are not just schools. They are exclusive social clubs, reinforcing a narrow worldview. This is how political miscalculations happen. The last election proved it. While the people were focused on real, pressing issues, politicians, trapped in their echo chambers, offered solutions to problems that no one cared about. They weren't listening. They were talking to themselves, assuming the rest of the country shared their priorities. Elite universities do not always provide the best education. Look at our political leaders. Most passed through these institutions. Has it helped them make the best decisions for America? A prestigious diploma is not a guarantee of knowledge. In many cases, the same knowledge can be acquired independently through books, online learning, and real world experience. Yet, elite universities remain the gatekeepers of power, signaling who is worthy of high ranking positions. But is this system truly beneficial for America? Or is it just an outdated ritual draining time, money, and energy on an illusion of merit? If we are serious about education, we must focus on what actually prepares students for life, not just what looks prestigious on paper. America has vast land, immense capital, and world leading construction technology. Yet, we are in the midst of a housing crisis. The soaring cost of housing is one of the biggest obstacles preventing families from having more children. This problem has been solved before. After World War II, America built mass housing, creating a wave of affordability that led to the baby boomer generation. That generation, in turn, fueled the technological and economic boom of the late 20th century. So, why can't we do it again? The answer lies in a system deliberately designed to limit supply and maximize profits for a select few: regulations and bureaucracy. The process of building new housing is tangled in endless red tape, adding costs and slowing construction. Breaking into the market as a new developer is nearly impossible. Developers, they profit from scarcity. By keeping housing supply low, they can sell at higher prices. Investors and current property owners, they want property values to keep rising, ensuring their assets continue to appreciate, so they use their political power to suppress new constructions in their neighborhoods. Outdated ideas of home ownership. The traditional American dream of a single family home with a white picket fence is no longer sustainable. To lower housing costs, we must prioritize building more multifamily units, apartments, townhouses, and condos. Young people have children before they establish careers or saved up enough for a down payment. If they don't receive support, they will delay having children or never have them at all. The people keeping housing unaffordable, politicians, developers, current property owners, and investors, are not just harming others. They are harming themselves, their own children, and their grandchildren. They may pass on their wealth, but they won't be able to pass on the America they know. Because when the labor market collapses under the weight of an aging population, we will be forced to bring in immigrants. And they won't be coming from prosperous countries facing the same demographic decline. They will come from regions with vastly different values and ways of life. At that point, there will be no choice. It will be this or nothing. We must break this cycle. Housing is not just an investment. It is the foundation of family stability and the future of the nation. And if America is to thrive, housing must be affordable again. I survived cancer, and I'm profoundly grateful to America Healthcare for saving my life. But what is happening in this field right now terrifies me. Take a simple mammogram that costs $600 with insurance. If someone earns $2,000 to $3,000 a month, how can they afford routine screening, let alone treatment? Every 3 months, I receive an injection to prevent my cancer from returning. Each shot costs $20,000. Yes, insurance covers most of it, but I'm still left with a staggering bill. But what about those who can't afford it? Should they just die? In this country, people with serious health conditions are forced to navigate a bureaucratic labyrinth just to stay alive. They spend more time fighting insurance claims than fighting their illness. The stress of medical debt becomes another disease in itself. Fear for one's physical well being is one of the most toxic emotions, and we are already an unhealthy nation. Instead of reducing stress, we have built a system that amplifies it, breaking people down when they are already at their weakest. The problem is right in front of us. Yet instead of addressing the crisis affecting all Americans, we are distracted by endless debates over pronouns and social media outrage. These issues may matter to some, but shouldn't we start by fixing what affects everyone? Healthcare should be universally accessible as clean water. No one should be deemed more or less deserving of treatment based on their financial status. We are not in a position to discard people. No people, no America. And yet, we are making survival a privilege instead of a right. America, we have an immigration problem. But it's not about Hazeh or Zohrab crossing the border illegally. The real issue is that we lack a clear, well organized system for legal immigration. And we are not just talking about letting people in. We need immigrants who share American values and see this country as their home. Because we aren't having enough children, immigration is not a choice, it's a necessity. Since that's the reality, the process must be structured to benefit America, not harm it. Construction, agriculture, housekeeping, childcare, elderly care, home improvement, warehouse work, food packing. These are the industries where undocumented immigrants are working. Are they needed? Absolutely. Are there American citizens eager to take these jobs for the wages offered? No. These are grueling, thankless jobs with no career path, no self fulfillment, and no opportunity for wealth. The only people willing to do them are those who earn even less back home. So, why do so many immigrants risk their lives crossing illegally, paying thousands to smugglers? Because it's easier and faster than navigating the broken legal system. These are desperate people. They can't afford to wait years for paperwork. They pull money from relatives, take out loans, and then spend years repaying their right to work in America, picking our strawberries, cleaning our floors, and building our homes. Legal immigration for many is impossible, or it's too slow, too expensive, and too humiliating. And like everything else in a dysfunctional system, someone is profiting from the chaos. Undocumented immigrants are easy to exploit. They can't go to the authorities, so they endure abuse, wage theft, and inhumane working conditions. But desperation has consequences. When people have no legal resource, they turn to criminal leaders to solve their problems. They self medicate with drugs and alcohol. They resort to violence because they have no other way to fight back. And in the end, all of this spills into American society because we fail to demand a system that works. The situation with refugees is even worse. I've seen it firsthand with Russians and Ukrainians fleeing Putin's war. And here's the ugly truth: America is favoring frauds over hardworking, honest people. The very people who would gladly work three jobs just to survive. Immigration judges follow strict guidelines, granting asylum only to those who can prove they are in serious danger. So what happens? A massive underground industry has sprung up to manufacture fake documents. Need proof that Russian police beat you? No problem. Here's a medical certificate and some Photoshop enhanced photos. Want to claim you were an opposition leader in a small town? Easy. We'll generate fake articles, staged photos, and any documents you need. All for a price anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000. Those who cheat the system get asylum. Those who don't are deported. The system is not filtering for integrity or work ethic. It's creating a population of liars, cynics, and manipulators. And it gets worse. There's already a severe shortage of immigration judges, leading to years-long backlogs. Instead of fixing this, the government cut their numbers even further. Now, immigration officers have unchecked power to decide who stays and who goes. Many immigrants don't speak English and can't afford legal representation, so they get lost in a system that treats them as disposable. This is not just a bureaucratic failure, it's a gaping wound in America's social fabric, and it's fueling crime, corruption, and resentment. We need immigrants, but not just anyone. We need workers who can integrate, contribute, and thrive. Suffering outside the US is tragic, but if someone is coming here only to live off welfare, exploit loopholes, or drain public resources, what are they bringing to America? This is where artificial intelligence should step in. AI can help match workers to industries, ensuring that America's needs align with the skills of incoming immigrants. And the rules should be clear. If you commit a crime, evade taxes, or engage in fraud, you go back. If you burn the American flag in protest, you can do it in your own country. If you refuse to respect the nation that gave you a chance, you don't belong here. American citizenship is not for sale to drug lords, corrupt officials, and criminals looking to launder money. Do we really want those kinds of neighbors? What do they bring us besides their wealth, their corruption, cruelty, and cynicism? Thanks, but no thanks. America must remain a land of opportunity, but only for those who respect and uphold what makes it great. Otherwise, we are not building a nation, we are digging its grave. Let's start with reality. People should be judged by their actions and achievements, not by the color of their skin, sexual orientation, or any other innate trait. If someone demands special privileges based solely on their identity, it's not fairness, it's entitlement. Your background, whether aristocratic or oppressed, does not determine your worth today. You are not your ancestors. Take responsibility for yourself and prove your value through merit, not inheritance. My ancestors were serfs, essentially property bound to the land and sold at the will of their owners. Serfdom in Russia was abolished in 1861, just 4 years before slavery ended in America. Should I demand special treatment because my ancestors were bought and sold like cattle, forced to work for free and beaten for disobedience? I don't think so. But if you do feel compelled to offer me a privilege, feel free to use the super thanks option or hit the join button to support my channel. Granting privileges based on gender, race, or any other personal characteristic is not progress. It's foolishness. The only thing that should matter is competence. Can you do the job? Can you solve the problem? If so, you deserve the opportunity. Forcing companies to meet quotas for minority representation does not create equality. It creates resentment and loopholes. True inclusion happens through excellence, not enforcement. We shouldn't be policing each other's private lives. Every adult has the right to be with whomever they choose, as long as it's consensual. The guiding principle here is simple. If it doesn't affect me, and it's not illegal, then it's none of my business. Talking about sexual minorities is not propaganda. It's acknowledging reality. A person doesn't change their sexual orientation simply by being aware of its existence. And frankly, the idea that exposure to LGBTQ topics converts people is absurd. Straight people don't become gay by learning that same sex attraction exists, just as gay people don't turn straight by ignoring it. Gay marriages are better than gay loneliness or forced marriages built on lies. A person should not have to spend their life pretending to be someone they are not just to fit into outdated expectations. As for adoption, a loving home is always better than no home. If a gay couple is capable of raising a child in a stable, supportive environment, then that child will thrive far more than one lost in the foster care system, bouncing from home to home with no real attachment to anyone. In competitive sports, biology matters. A transgender woman may identify as female, but biological advantages remain: greater muscle mass, bone density, lung capacity. This creates an unfair playing field in women's sports. If you want a solution, separate transgender leagues or voluntary competitions where all participants agree to the terms beforehand. That way, fairness is preserved and no one is forced into an uneven competition they never signed up for. Real equality means treating people fairly, not favoring them for things they can't control. Identity does not entitle anyone to privileges, nor should it be used as a reason to deny opportunity. The only metric that should matter is what a person brings to the table: their skill, their integrity, and their contributions to society. No more excuses, no more forced divisions, just fairness for everyone. America is facing serious governance issues, problems that, if left unaddressed, will shake the very foundation of our nation. If we want to secure our future, we must make key structural changes. First, more than just two political parties. America is an indefinitely diverse nation, yet we are forced to choose between just two political options, as if every issue, belief, and priority can be boiled down to either this or that. The last presidential election proved how broken this system is. Millions of Americans didn't like any of the candidates, yet they were forced to pick one because there was no real choice. Second, abolish the Electoral College. It is unacceptable that the vote of one American is worth less than the vote of another, simply because of where they live. This is not democracy. It's discrimination. Every vote should count equally, no matter the state. Third, limit presidential power. The fate of our entire nation should not rest so heavily on the opinion, mood, or competence of a single person. The president should lead, not rule. A system where one leader can dramatically shift the direction of the country every 4 years is not stable governance. It's a gamble. Fourth, a simple, transparent tax system. Our tax system is so unnecessarily complex that we need to hire specialists just to navigate it. This is not normal. Taxes should be simple enough for everyone to handle on their own through a user-friendly system. The fact that so many people profit from tax complexity is proof of how deeply broken it is. Are we protecting America's interests or just lining the pockets of those who exploit the system? Fifth, responsible government spending. Government spending is out of control, not just due to corruption, but because many officials live in an echo chamber, surrounded by people who think just like them, convinced they're solving the right problems. They distribute funds based on personal biases, with little connection to real-world needs. Worse, there's no incentive to save taxpayer money, which is why budgets balloon endlessly while citizens see little return. 6. Affordable legal protection. Justice should be accessible to everyone, not just those who can afford a $600 an hour lawyer. Court cases drag on for years. because there aren't enough judges, and most people can't afford proper legal representation. The result is a system where justice belongs only to the wealthy. AI could revolutionize the legal system. It could quickly analyze cases, request additional information, and deliver fair, unbiased decisions, cutting through bureaucracy and making justice swift and affordable. Maybe it's time to establish an AI powered court system, one that people can opt into for faster, more efficient dispute resolution. Because if you can't afford legal protection, you don't have any legal protection at all. Seventh, law, order, and safety. People don't feel safe. When protests turn into riots, looting, and destruction, it's not about protecting rights. It's about destroying what hardworking Americans have built. Innocent business owners should not suffer for problems they had no part in creating. Meanwhile, police often hesitate to act, fearing lawsuits that could drag on for years. And when officers refuse to arrest criminals because they fear the consequences, we create a system where criminals operate with impunity. Do we want a country where criminals fear the police? Or where the police fear the criminals? That said, solving crime isn't just about locking people up, it's about integration. People need a path to self respect, a way to find their place in society. A person with no hope, no opportunity, and no support will always be more dangerous than one who sees a future for themselves. And we must talk about mental health. Many violent crimes are committed by people with untreated brain trauma or mental illness, problems that could have been prevented with proper health care. If we don't want to pay for health care, we will pay for prisons instead. Eighth, America's role in the world. We should never stoop to the level of dictators, those who lie, cheat, and brutalize others simply because they can. America is a moral nation, but to stay that way, we need to understand how the rest of the world operates. Historically, America's media has ignored global affairs, leaving us uninformed about international realities. I get it. In the 19th century, foreign news was expensive. But today, information is everywhere. The only missing ingredient is interest. We should not support terrorists and aggressors in any way. Yes, America loves money, who can argue with that? But at some point, values must come first. If we sacrifice our principles for profit, we will lose the very thing that makes America great. A nation that can acknowledge its failures, learn from them, and rebuild stronger is a nation that can never be defeated. That is the America I love. A nation capable of renewal. If this message resonates with you, share it with others who feel the same. Because if we don't push for change, who will? My name is Elvira Berry. I'm an author, and I've spent 20 years studying history, anthropology, and other social sciences that help us see the current political landscape as a whole. If I was able to provide value to you with this video, please consider giving a super thanks, buy me a coffee, or clicking on the join button to support my channel. Thank you all, and see you soon.